Recently, Swiss Beats and Timberland created a wonderful platform called Versus, and it was just um, it was just announced a few weeks ago, a week ago maybe, that they sold Versus, right? So they sold Versus to a white company. Let me read an article I found about black people being sellouts for selling their companies. Now, this article is saying black people are not sellouts just because they've sold their companies, but I want to have a conversation about that, right? So, in 2001, Bob Johnson sold BET to Viacom for $3 billion. Earlier this year, Jay-Z sold his company Tidal to Square, a financial services company co-founded by Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey for $297 million. Timberland and Swiss Beats also sold their Versus platform to Thriller Network for an undisclosed amount. No doubt it was probably millions of dollars. And all of them were labeled sellouts by various individuals in the black community. Now, it says apparently if a black-owned company is bought out by another company that is not black-owned, the owners are automatically classified as sellouts. In other words, they have betrayed their community. Now, I'm be honest, the other part of the article I don't quite agree with, so I'll just give you my take on it, right? So let's have the conversation, family. If a black person owns a business, and they end up selling the business, does that make selling a business to a white company? Does that make them a sellout, right? So here's the thing. Again, context is always extremely important. If you would have asked me this question several years ago, undoubtedly, I would have said yes, they are a sellout. Strictly just based on the optics, right? So we are a minority in this country. We already don't have a lot of businesses, successful, like Fortune 500 companies and things of that nature. Most of the time throughout our history, our creations, our creative endeavors have been, if not stolen by white society, shifted in a manner where the shit just wasn't ours no more, or watered down to a point where we had to go to them to get it. These type of things have been happening throughout history with our inventions, with our women. Shit, a lot of these things have been happening throughout history. So I think it's an emotional reflex to say yes. If you see a black person building something in our community, then they sell it, right, and don't have control of it no more to a white company, then all shit. Now you're just adding to the multitude of white companies that we have here in America, right? But here's the thing. Because again, I read a book called The $40 Million Slave several years ago, and it talked about Bob Johnson and him selling BET, right? And at that time, reading the book, I was a little furious, like, goddamn, Black Entertainment Network, but you're selling it to some white folks, now they can control it, they'll control the content, they'll control what we see, and a part of me still feels that way. Like, if you have a black-owned company, why sell it, right? A part of me feels that way. Why sell it? This is something that we can continue to have in our families, continue to have in our community, right? But then I had to take a step back and check this out. What if it's a black person who has several businesses? Because typically, from my understanding, people start businesses to make money, right? It just happens all the time. You start a business to make money. So what if we have a black person who has several businesses? And let's say some of these businesses are highly influential in the black community. Some of these businesses is giving jobs to hundreds upon hundreds of black people. Some of these businesses is providing them with the finances they need to furnish other things in the black community, right? Right? Let's say you take one of these businesses and you sell it to make more money. But to me, what I'm beginning to see, like the overall point of this conversation to me, is what is the mentality of the black man, right? Because if his mentality is unity, if he has a group think mentality like I do, then he can sell it to a white person. He's going to take that money and put it back into the black community. He's going to take that money and put it back into something else that can benefit all of us. Now, I don't do the whole thing where I look at a celebrity and say, you know, as a celebrity goes, you should, you know, why you selling your business? You're not for the black community. Here's the thing, family. Some of that I agree with. But here's the thing. I'm kind of getting tired of it because social media and all of these platforms allow people to have a voice, even when sometimes they shouldn't, even when they don't have much to say. It gives everybody a voice, right? But here's the thing. I'm kind of getting tired of niggas who work a 9 to 5 telling somebody what they not doing for the black community, right? That's how I rock. Now, if you're a person who got 10 toes down in our community and you doing what you can, not financially, nonetheless, or not financially specifically, but doing something to help us out. If you just sit at home and go to your job, which if you're not owning it, it's probably owned by somebody white more than likely. If you at home sitting on your couch, getting ready to go to your 9 to 5 that's owned by somebody white, how can you tell anybody black what the fuck they should be doing with their money? How can you tell anybody black how to how can you be telling anybody black how to conduct themselves as far as black businesses are concerned, as far as empowering the community? I'm kind of getting tired of that shit. Now, I have a platform to say whatever they want to say, but at the end of the day, we all got to be doing something, right? And if you're a person that ain't doing shit, you should kind of shut the fuck up. You shouldn't, for one, we don't know what celebrities are doing behind the scenes. I'm getting so tired of people commenting on entertainers like you fucking know them. We have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. So can you give your input sometimes? Sure, we all do. But to be super critical of people that you don't know is extremely unfair. So we don't know if somebody sells a black business, we don't know what they're doing with the proceeds from that business. They could be putting it right back into community. Like I hear people saying, Jay-Z act like he for the black community, but we don't know. Now, I know for sure there has been several black causes that he has supported, right? But it seemed like sometimes niggas will look past some shit somebody's doing just to look for whatever the negative may be. And again, these are the same niggas that ain't doing shit for their community. If you work in a 9 to 5 for a white man, you shouldn't be saying shit about what a celebrity is doing for our community, because we all got 24 hours in a day. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes we put these people on pedestals like you can't work hard and get your shit together. Like you can't work hard to become a person of influence where you could do the same thing you talking about somebody else doing. You feel me? So are you a sellout if you sell your black business? If your mentality is one of which where you don't fuck with us anyway, where you don't necessarily do other things in the community, then yes, I do feel that way. But if you selling your business to make yourself more money so you can in turn be more beneficial to all of us, then I don't see a problem with that. You know what I mean? And again, several years ago I would say yes. If you are a black person and you sell your black business, then automatically you're a coon. Not quite. It's a little more deeper than that, right? It's a little, because really, so for instance, Bob Johnson sold BET in 2001, for $3 billion. Over the past few years, he's been advocating for reparations. He's been putting his money where his mouth is as far as doing particular things in the community to help our people. So sometimes we can't judge a book by its cover, family. We do have people in the black community that sell us out. We do have people in our community that, because of their mentality, they're trying to get away from us as quick as they possibly can. They get into groups of non-black people and talk shit about us, right? They get into groups of non-black people and can't wait to assimilate into white society. That happens, you know what I mean? But that's not the case all the time. And in the situation with Timberland and Swiss, I seen an interview where Swiss was talking about basically they made the deal, and every person that was on Versus got some stock in the company, or every person that was on Versus got either money, either finances or some type of stock in the company. You know what I mean? Which is some gangster shit to me. Like, we have to realize how some of these moves are made. And then sometimes we have people who never ran a business, who never had $1 million telling a millionaire how they should spend it. That don't make no sense to me. You feel me? So let's go. Now, let me see here. Oh, next story. And I was going to read the article, but there's not much to read here. So,